नमस्ते, सुस्वागतम। हमारा विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम का जो यूट्यूब चैनल और अन्य चैनलों के द्वारा आज का कार्यक्रम ज्ञान गंगा वर्ड्स ऑफ विजडम विद डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी के साथ हम शुरुआत करते हैं। वी स्टार्ट दिस प्रोग्राम with Dr. Swamy, which we host every day at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. The first question will be posed to Dr. Swamy by my colleague, Dr. Arvind Chaturvedi.
Namaskar. Good evening, Dr. Swamy.
Good evening.
Today, we are going to ask a question regarding Uniform Civil Code. In our directive principles of the Constitution, we have Article 44, which says the states should try to achieve this Uniform Civil Code. Some time back, Law Commission had sent a questionnaire, and based on the response, they were planning to finalize the Uniform Civil Code draft.
Yes.
Will you please tell us, tell our viewers how far we have gone there, and what are the objections the people have?
Well, first of all, you said the Constitution said we should try to bring Uniform Civil Code. No, not correct. We shall bring Uniform Civil Code. And people say directive principle is not binding. It's not binding on individuals, but it's binding on the government. Article 37 of the Constitution makes it very clear that the governing principles of governance are that, and the government shall implement the directive principles. So this is something that should have been, and many people have gone over the last 20 years to the courts, and the courts have said, yes, it should happen, and it is the duty of the government, but you as an individual petitioner don't have any rights, but certainly the government has to do it, and has not done it, and we ask the government to do it. So therefore, there is the educated masses of India, there is complete acceptance for it. Amongst the Hindu and the Hindu, the broader Hindu concept, like the Constitution says, Hindu is one who is not a Muslim or a Christian or a Parsi. And that definition, if you go by, they also believe in the same uniform civil code. And that code is that there shall be in marriages, in inheritances, in divorce, and all these things, the men and women are equal, and you cannot marry more than one. So therefore, that has to be now implemented. And we have made a start. I would not say BJP government has not done anything. We have made a start in the triple talaq thing, which is the most obnoxious of all the things that are wrong with the man-woman relationship, where a man could divorce a woman just by sending an SMS or just reciting in front of her face that triple talaq, 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 talaq. So that we have put an end to, and you will be surprised how many people, the so-called educated Hindu class, or the left wing, the liberals, the Lutyens, how many of them protested? Which, it was a shame that women coming to the aid of men in the Muslim community. Other religions also are not against this particular aspect of Uniform Civil Code on marriages. But they say we have our own methods of marriage. You can't make a uniform marriage system, but that nobody is anyway thinking of it. So when it comes to Uniform Civil Code, the key thing is, besides marriage, is inheritance. You know that amongst the Muslim community, women will get only 1/6 what the boy gets. It's not equal. And there are also many other things which are very anti-women, and that needs to be rectified. I think, in my opinion, even taking dowry in the Hindu community should be part of the banning of it should be, and a strict banning of it should be part of the Uniform Civil Code. It's not that the women Hindu system doesn't require reform. Of course, it requires reform. We certainly should have much simpler marriages than we are having. People are getting bankrupt arranging marriages for their daughters. And there should be no law, no requirement that only the daughter should arrange the marriage. It could be by mutual agreement. If the man wants to make the arrangements for the marriage, it can be done. So, and I'm not only preaching this, but I also practiced it. When I got married, it is I who made all the arrangements. So anyway, the issue is Uniform Civil Code has been something which has wide acceptance, and has been only because of the Congress rule in between that this has got crusted, that this is something you can't touch. It is against the Constitution to have a separate marriage code and so on. And I think we need to understand that the liberation of women, it's a gender equality issue once again. Like triple talaq, it's a gender equality issue. Therefore, we must push ahead. It doesn't matter if the Muslims don't want to vote for you or the Muslims revolt. We should strictly apply the principles of a secular marriage code in which religious ceremonies and all can be part of. But in terms of what is legitimate marriage, what has legal basis, we must make sure that men and women are equal in all respects.
So, Dr. Swamy, we are not targeting Muslims as some people say. Even Hindu laws, Hindu personal laws are there which need reform. And which Hindu personal laws do you think will be affected when we introduce the Uniform Civil Code?
No, see, actually, the Hindus have already reformed their law. That was the Hindu Code Bill that came, and you would be surprised that even people like Rajendra Prasad had opposed it mildly, but not very, very strongly. But we have made a lot of differences, and we have enabled a woman to be able to get divorce, for example, when there's cruelty, which was not there before. We have brought in a lot of changes. Perhaps the changes we now need is how to reduce very sharply the expenditure that takes place, and how to have a more lethal punishment system for those who take dowry. So dowry is a big mess. I mean, when a girl is born, people are not happy because they are thinking already in terms of how much money they will have to save to make the marriage, possible. So this arranged marriage system is a aspect of it. But as far as the one man, one woman marriage, that has already come in since 1954 when we brought in the Hindu Code Bill and got a law passed. But further changes, of course, in terms of the equality, even some inheritance laws, some minor changes need to be given. And women as earning partners as equality, that needs to be also emphasized. So the Hindus, there's not much. But in terms of Islam, it requires a sea change, in my opinion. And the Muslim women are ready, educated Muslims are ready, and we should now not be worried about what the mullahs say or do. We should go for what the Constitution says, which is for a change. I can quote Article 14 in my defense and say that men and women are equal before the law when it comes to marriage. They are not two different categories.
Over a period of time, the lifestyle is also changed. It is westernized. And the one Western influence in Indian society is the live-in relationship. How do you think the Uniform Civil Code will take this live-in relationship?
Well, it should be outlawed. See, you're getting married is only because there has to be a legal framework for the children. And this live-in relationship and producing children therein, it is huge psychological effect, even in the Western countries. on the children. And we need to systematize it. We also need a law, because it shouldn't be that easy to get a divorce. I mean, unless there is established cruelty, in which case, or both sides agree to have a divorce, then the divorce law should be easy. But I mean, it should make it easy. But in terms of live-in relationship, anybody, it'll be another version of triple talaq. I mean, it'll be a single talaq, but I mean, you know, you have one man, one woman, but you know, one day the man says, "No, listen, it's over. Our relationship is over. I'm going with somebody else." That happens in America. We can't have that. We believe in the family system, and for systematizing the family system, we need laws which govern it, and the affected party or the victim in the marriage, he or she should have a legal background, a legal system which gives them the right to enforce their rights.
Dr. Swamy, what about Goa? We have a system in Goa which is different from other states. So Goa is already towards uniform civil code.
Not towards, it is full-fledged. It was there from the British time, the Portuguese time. It's not a post-independence development. And everybody's accepted. The Muslims there also accept it. I don't know the enforcement part, but the fact of the matter is that the Uniform Civil Code exists. It exists in our constitution, and yet we are hesitating and hesitating and hesitating. But I think if there's any government that can do it, it will be the BJP government. Congress government will never do it.
And what about the questionnaire circulated by Law Commission? Has any report been prepared based on that?
I don't think the report has come out. I have not seen it. As an MP, there will automatically Law Commission reports come to us. But I have not seen it. But I don't think it would be probably ready. It's a very controversial subject in the so-called high society of our country, and you know, bringing out a report and then the media being in the influence of the high society. You know, people, judges also, or retired judges maybe, but they are also a little cognizant that they don't want to stir up a storm in a teacup.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. As usual, we have 3 topics. The next topic will be taken up by my colleague Jagdish Shetty. Over to you, Jagdish.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, and thank you, Arvind. Dr. Swamy, I want to ask you about another question.
Yeah.
Suddenly in 2011,
Yes.
Harvard University suddenly dropped 2 courses which you were teaching regularly in the summer course, and they were periodically or every year calling you for these courses. Yes. Now, it appears that it was dropped by some catalog committee which met abruptly without much people being aware of it, and suddenly these courses were dropped. Yes. And a lot of vested interest in India and abroad got together. Could you tell us something about this episode?
Well, you know, this happened actually in 2012. And the invitations to come back for the summer goes out in December of 2011. So that's why you might have got this date of 2011. I had already taught in 2011 and I'd come back after teaching 3 months. Now, what happened is this, that when I was at Harvard in the 60s, two of my famous teachers, Simon Kuznets and Paul Samuelson, were unhappy that I was going back. They really thought I had a huge economic career as an economist. And some of my publications had already become very famous. And both Simon Kuznets and Paul Samuelson, they both got Nobel Prize one after the other. I mean, Samuelson was first, and then Simon Kuznets. And so when I decided, I said I'd come back. So I came back in 1970 and 71. I went back while I was a professor at IIT for the summer. And I chose summer because I could do, summer is a time when you don't do very much in India. So it's also Harvard is grateful because in summer everybody takes a holiday, the professors. So they, in order to maintain some continuity, they like people who have taught at Harvard to come back for the summer so that the continuity of standards will continue. So I was asked to come for 2011. Then I went in 2013. Excuse me, 2000. 2000. It was no. The first time I went was in long ago in 90, just after my IIT termination. That no, just before my IIT termination. That was 1971. Then 73 I went. 78 I was to go, but then this elections came. In fact, in 76, 77, I was already a full year teacher, because that was the when I returned, I escaped from India. I came to America. Harvard gave me back my teaching job and gave me my professor's rank and made me as a person with a faculty with a professor's rank. And I was about to begin teaching when Mrs. Gandhi declared election. I went back. And then, of course, I got elected and became impossible. So I couldn't go in 1978. But then I lost the election after Mrs. Indira Gandhi's assassination, and every one of us lost. So I went back for 2 years in 85 and 86 for a full term as a visiting professor. And then I felt that it was, too long an absence. You were with me, so you would remember that period when I went away to Harvard. And then I decided that I will go, but every summer, because that's only 2.5 to 3, all told 3 months in summer. And it's a good time to escape India. And so I went in 2000, 2001, 2002, like that, right up to 2011. And 2012, the invitation came, and I was preparing to go when I suddenly came to learn that there was a catalog committee meeting, which none of us as professors used to go. And of course, that time I was in India. There's no question of my going anyway. But all academic matters are decided by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, of which I was a member when I was teaching at Harvard. And all my friends, I had a huge number of friends in the university. But catalog committees, nobody would go except the department chairman, because it is really all those who had been invited to come to teach for the following year, their courses to be put together as a catalog, a combined catalog for Harvard, for then sending it to the students who want to apply to Harvard, who want to come to Harvard, and so on. So it had a very ordinary technical job, namely getting all these recommendations from the university, from the departments, and then putting it together in a certain format. That's all its work was. And I didn't know that this meeting was there, because I was not invited to the meeting. That's also against the democratic principle that you don't decide anything against me without giving me an opportunity to explain. And there's a fundamental democratic principle. But they did it all hush-hush. And you had to have quorum. They organized quorum. No, the only pure person who came from the economics department was the department chairman. And he put up a fight. And the charge against me is that I had lowered the standard of Harvard by writing an article in the DNA newspaper published from Bombay. And it was an op-ed article after the terrorist attack on 13 July in the suburban train of Bombay. And I had already written a classic book, became a classic, that was the book on deterrence in 2006, which Manmohan Singh's government distributed to every year, on every one of our embassies to say this is the basis on which we should argue. And it became a classic thing. National Defense College was regularly calling me to give lectures on that. And that became a very famous book. So when this happened, the DNA newspaper took a extract from that book. It was not even I had written, and published it, and used that basis to make an issue. Who made the issue? The Department of Indology, the Asian Studies Department, but nothing to do with economics. And these were people who were part of the left wing. And of course, there were some people who were motivated by the people who had some grievances about India. So these people together, and Amartya Sen was there. He was not in the economics department, by the way. He was in the department. You had some historian who later became Trinamool Congress MP, and then Mamata Banerjee drove him away. He's gone back. He was in part of some Asian institute, part of Harvard. So these people got together and said that this has debased our university, and his courses cannot be included. And to the credit of the Department of Economics, they said no student has objected ever. Yeah, all the students' reports on courses which the Harvard used to religiously take into account, he said every one of them is nothing but praise. He teaches 2 subjects which we need 2 professors to teach. One is on China, the economy of China, and the other is mathematical economics or mathematics for economists. And for these, you can't get one professor to teach both. And it saves a lot of money for the university. And he put up a very valiant fight, but they took a vote, and it was not unanimous. And it was a wrong vote because they didn't let me. They should have informed me, asked me to be present and explain what did I mean by what I said. And what was the objection they took? I said that the DNA of all Muslims in India is the same as that of Hindus. So the Muslims should acknowledge this. And then I added that if they don't, then it's a ground for disqualification to vote, because it could be made a disqualification for vote. I didn't say it should be done or that I had the power to do it. The UPA was in power. It was a suggestion. Maybe you don't like the suggestion, but they made an issue, and they sent a letter of termination after having invited me and after I'd accepted. So if I'd gone to court, I would have made millions of dollars. But who wants to waste time on that? Because my arena was India, and Harvard was something I did because I wanted my intellectual work to continue, and Harvard wanted me. So therefore, if they don't want me, I'm not going to come. So that's how it ended. And it was widespread condemnation by all kinds of bodies, academic freedom bodies, etc. But in India, there was UPA in power, and they were naturally quietly celebrating because they're the ones who financed it, the whole thing. The whole thing was done after the 2G thing, and in vengeance for that 2G, they organized this because they thought that my going to Harvard every year gives me legitimacy, which they think would go if I don't go to Harvard. Nothing of the kind happened. On the other hand, the Hindutva forces I become a hero because I refused to budge from my stand and go and explain to them, I didn't mean this, I didn't mean that. And so all told, I have no regrets. I'm very happy. And but Harvard continue, all the Harvard students who come here, you attended one with me just now in Bombay. The Harvard students arrived where I had to address. Harvard has again invited me in April end, but I don't think because of Corona I can go. But or I don't think that program will take place, frankly. But anyway, I've been to MIT. The same idiots in the left wing tried to oppose it, but I'm happy to say that they, unlike Harvard, the MIT establishment took a stand and said if the students want him, he'll come. And they took a vote with the students, and I got 75% or more of the votes in favor of my coming. So that's the position. That's all that happened. It's not new for me to be terminated and then later on in my life to be vindicated. It happened with IIT in a royal way. The body which dismissed me in IIT, I became a member of that body after sacking all those who were members of the body and dismissed me at that time.
Thank you, Dr.
Swamy, Harvard is still in touch with you.
Yes.
Claudine Gay, who is the Dean of Faculty of Art and Science, has very recently written to you.
Yes.
I have a copy of that letter.
Yeah, so Harvard, many bodies write to me, but I have singularly said no. But I had accepted one. So the students had asked for it after consulting their faculty to give a talk on economics for 25th April. But now I don't think I can go for that. I have already addressed similarly on the economy when Harvard students in a good number came to Bombay on a tour, and they insisted on having a lecture from me. I went to Bombay and gave that lecture. Yes, Harvard can't have, anybody with any academic sense can't have. This was a rigged one which was done at the behest of people here in India. And then I'm the gainer from it because the Harvard teaching career at Harvard was not my long-term goal. It was just a way of keeping in touch with the field.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Now I request my colleague Ramesh Swamy to have further discussion with Dr. Swamy on another topic. Ramesh Swamy.
Namaste, Dr. Swamy.
Yeah.
So the question, I mean, in everybody's mind in India is basically Kashmir. So what I think would be great is for you to share your views on Kashmir and what is the way ahead.
First of all, let me tell you that the situation in Kashmir is such that there is no rebellion. All talk that people don't like it, etc., all rubbish. When we arrested all these top leaders, there should have been a rebellion. There was none. When they came out, there should have been a huge welcome for them. Nothing of the kind. I am, as you know, I don't know where Jagdish and Arvind know that our Janata Party had a unit in Kashmir at the height of insurgency. I went and addressed a public meeting in Lal Chowk, which no one would dare to do, with the terrorists sitting on the rooftops and watching me. So Kashmir is very dear to me because my mother has instilled this thing that it actually belongs to our family because we are from Kashyapa Gotra. And you know that Kashmir was created by Rishi Kashyapa. He lifted the land from the water. And it's a beautiful place. And it is part of India. There are so many temples there. There are so many traditions there. It's a Muslim character is only recent. It's not an ancient. Islam itself is not very ancient. It's by our standards, it's a recent religion, and therefore you can't suddenly say that just because you change your religion, therefore the state also will change its character. If tomorrow the trustees of a temple all become Muslim, it doesn't become that temple will become a masjid. So therefore, I think this is what we had to understand. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, I can.
So suddenly your picture is gone. Now it's come back. So
Yeah.
the whole point is Kashmir is a frontier state. We can't give it up under any circumstance. POK is something we will take back because that's the unanimous decision of both houses of parliament in 1994 on a resolution introduced by Narasimha Rao. And you can't even say it's a BJP jingoism that is responsible. And two, that we must take over militarily whenever we are ready for it because it was militarily snatched away from us. Aksai Chin is an area where the demarcation was not done by Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Chinese got a talking point on that. And in my opinion, it is possible that with talking with Chinese in a different atmosphere, not in the present atmosphere, if you can win the trust of the Chinese leadership, they would give that up, because now they've got enough communication between Tibet and Xinjiang without needing Aksai Chin. So it has to be made under very different circumstances, but it can be done peacefully. But that can come later. What we need to do is complete the work which BJP has started by abolishing Article 370. Took a long time for me to convince people that you don't need a parliament vote. And it's there in the constitution, you don't need a parliament vote. But people didn't know. And the Kashmiri leaders are all bluffing that you need the legislature of Kashmir's vote. All kinds of things that once you break 370, then the commitment to merge into India is also gone. All this kind of rubbish was being propagated, has all been completely exposed. But the bottom line is Kashmir is an integral part of India, and it's a frontier state, and under no circumstances, no patriotic government would ever let it go.
So Dr. Swamy, what about return of Kashmiri Pandits?
Yeah. Pandits can return when we can assure them that they are secure. And that is not an objective question, that's a subjective question, because the Kashmiri Pandits must feel that they are secure. They have come under the worst possible circumstances. And to ask them to go back, we have to convince them that we have the atmosphere is being created. It will take another 4 or 5 years, but all of them will those of them who want to go back will have no difficulty in going back. And of course, now any Indian can go. Why only Kashmiri Pandits? You can say I'm also by legacy a Kashmiri Pandit. I can also go and have a summer home there. So there's no question. It is an integral part of India. Whoever wants to go there can go there.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for that informative knowledge and information on Kashmir and other subjects. I would like to remind our viewers that every day Dr. Swamy takes one topic or 3 topics and discusses it. This is available on the Virat Hindustan Sangam YouTube channels and other social media platforms. So do keep in tuned 8 p.m. daily Indian Standard Time on Virat Hindustan Sangam's channel, Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga with Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. I thank Arvind Chaturvedi and Ramesh Swamy, and for technical support, I would like to thank Tejas Navalgul of Pune and Ashish Shetty for the technical support for the webcast of today's program and various programs which we have been conducting with Dr. Swamy. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.
Jai Shri Ganesh.